We're back on the show. This is the pause. Remember that the U.S. election voting will end at 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. for the West and the East Coast, respectively. That will be midnight and 2 a.m. Ghana time. Now, here on Joy News at exactly midnight, my colleague Blazer Soga will lead our coverage of the aftermath of the voting in the United States of America with guests and from, guests, experts on elections in the U.S. We'll also be speaking to Ghanaians who are domiciled in the U.S., those with documentation and those undocumented. And the question is, what will the presidency of Kamala or Trump mean for them going forward? You don't want to miss it out, because that will be the time you will get to know who will lead the United States of America for the next 4 years. And that is from midnight all the way till 6 a.m. Now, before we go, though, one of the leaders of the Ken Must Go movement, the Member of Parliament for Subin, Eugene MP, says President Akufo-Addo acted unreasonably by keeping former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta at post for that long. It will be recalled that in 2020, about 90 MPP MPs in an unprecedented move called for the dismissal of Ken Ofori-Atta at the height of the country's economic crisis. In this interview with my colleague Kweku Asante, the Subin MP reflects on their decision and the fate they suffered. And that interview is coming your way pretty shortly. But there's more stories on myjoyonline.com. The Attorney General is talking about how his office has managed to save the country $9 billion to arbitrary claims in the last 4 years, plus other compelling stories on myjoyonline.com. Whatever you are up to in the hours ahead, I hope it's profitable. My name is Elton Bobby. Same time tomorrow, I will and my team be here to bring another exciting edition of the Pulse. But for now, though, my colleague Kweku Asante engages with the Subin MP, Eugene MP. Have a good evening.
It's been a couple of parliamentary meetings now. So really bold NPP MPs raised concerns about the then Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta and his handling of the economy. They asked for the president to dismiss him. The president at the time did not listen to them. The president acted several months later. And some have said the damage was already done. Ken Ofori-Atta is no longer the Minister of Finance, but some have said the damage at the ministry continue to plague this economy. One of the central persons who led this NPP MP, something that the then majority leader, Oseche Mensah Bonsu, described as the collective position of the caucus, is the MP for Subin, Honorable Eugene MP, and we are privileged to be sitting with him here today to brood over some of those issues and some of the concerns that have come up since then. Honorable, I know a lot of us said about these Ken Must Go and other things. Looking back now and all what we know, what were the key considerations that led you and your colleagues to take up this fight?
First of all, let me say good morning to your viewers or listeners. I think that point has been delivered. I'll just go straight for the benefit of the campaign. There's a lot of apathy in our strongholds, and that is why I agreed to do this interview to, first of all, apologize to Ghanaians, to apologize to the party folk, and tell them to all get out there and work hard for Dr. Bawumia to win the upcoming general elections. There were a lot of concerns. The cedi had lost its value against the major trading currencies. After a strong first-term performance of the MPP, the second term was totally different, in the sense that, I mean, if you're a keen observer of Parliament, I know you are, you know that in the first term, the Vice President, Dr. Bawumia, was in the chamber anytime the Finance Minister was going to read the budget. But have you observed that it's different in the second term?
Yes.
So I know for a fact that there was a lot of cooperation and collaboration in the preparation of the budget in the first term, right? Where the Vice President, Dr. Bawumia, was chairing the UMT and was, and with other stakeholders, the Trade Minister, the Energy, all those ministers that formed the EMT, and you could tell that all their inputs were fed into the budget. Yes. But the second time, it became a one-man show. And that is what led us through our leadership to go and tell the president or ask the president that he should grant us audience for us to come and meet him and discuss these economic difficulties that were engulfing the nation with the president. The feedback we got was that the president was not ready to meet us. And then we felt that the Ghanaian people who represent, who have given us the opportunity to represent them, must know that we, the MPs, or some of the MPs, do not agree with the president for the continued tenure of Ken Ofori-Atta at the finance ministry. We felt he was becoming a problem, both for the party, for the government, and for the country. And I say country because the country counts for it. Without Ghana, there will be no MPP, there will be no NDC. So everything I'm doing as politicians must be directed towards the nation Ghana.
So why did you take that bold decision to lead? Because there was substantial risk you could face, including your parliamentary primaries that was to come. What led you to take that bold decision? Well,
I think the reason why this question has been asked so many times, but I just couldn't, it's not in my nature to sit and watch a great party and a great country being destroyed by one man, Ken Ofori-Atta as the finance minister. And with all the solid human resources available in the party, I also didn't see why the president couldn't change Ken Ofori-Atta to replace him with another MPP person, or even another family member of his, if he so desired. So that is what led me to break free and damn the consequences.
Because you were one of the key persons who supported the coup.
I actually led it.
Yes.
I actually led it. I led it because I felt that Ghana needed a break from Ken. Ken had done his bit as a finance minister. No doubt I have to give him the credit for winning us off the IMF in 2018, right, and all the rest of it. But I think beyond that, towards the latter part of the first term, it went downhill from there, and we couldn't recover. And it's intransigence of not wanting to go to IMF also compounded the economic issues in the country. And I'm sure that is why we were where we were when, basically, virtually 2 years to the day, when we had the president. It was November 2022.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's an anniversary for us. Yes, but we've made our position to the party, to the government, to the nation that some of us were not comfortable with Ken Ofori-Atta continuing as the finance minister under the coup for the second term.
There are those who have said that Ken Ofori-Atta may have undermined some key projects that were being done.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Let me talk about it. This party is bigger. It's bigger than any individual, family, or grouping. That is the point that must be made. We all go out there to campaign. I campaigned as a parliamentary candidate to be elected as a member of parliament. The president campaigned as a presidential candidate to be elected a president. So we owe it a duty to the people who elected us into the country to ensure that at all given time we do what is right by the Ghanaian people. We know a situation where people think that you become so arrogant with power and you are not listening to the people, because that was the mood of the country at the time, that we're not listening. And the president was touring the country, praising his ministers. But the evidence out there, or the feedback out there, was that rather the president was speaking against the mood of the nation. And that is what I believe led to the Ken must go and other matters.
Okay, so I was asking you about some projects, because under Ken Ofori-Atta, we were told that a lot of projects suffered because he was undermining those projects, or he was not actually collaborating with other sector ministers, releasing funds and other things. As a sitting member of parliament on the NPP ticket and as an insider within the party, is that true? And
well, I would like to say that vindication lies in the womb of time. And MPP is seen as a party of achievers and innovators. MPP, I would say all the major social interventions under this fourth Republican Constitution were or have been initiated by the MPP administration. So some of us felt that certain projects, like you rightly said, I mean, if you look at the Manasseh book, I think it details a number of them. PDS, Ameri, domestic debt exchange program, Eurobonds, COVID funds, name it. Yeah. They're all there. So it's not me. Yeah. That is what is out there. That these were some of the projects or initiatives that Ken either collapsed or undermined, especially with the PDS. When the president gave the Ministry of Finance the role to superintend over that transaction. In the end, we are back to square. Look at the inefficiencies with ECG, and look at what is going on with the ECG. We led to the resignation of this MD a few weeks ago. So these were some of the issues that concerned us, and clearly we could also see that the vice president's role as the chair of the economic management team had been reduced to virtually nothing, because in the second term, in the 2021 budget, where the finance minister came and told Ghanaians that he was going to rely on two revenue streams. The two revenue streams were one, the electronic tax levy, that's popularly known as the e-levy, and then the property rate, right? Clearly, the vice president has spoken against the imposition of e-levy on the ordinary Ghanaian. So you could see, and we recently, when after the vice president was elected by the NPP, his speech at UPS, where he said he was going to reverse the e-levy tax. So clearly you could see that it wasn't part of the decision making. Yeah. And as chair of the EMT and his position as vice chair, as the vice president, clearly all the key observers within the party and without could see that it had become a one-man show by Ken Ofori-Atta. And that has led us to where we are, because people say, oh, you guys were touting Baumwe's economic credentials and what have you. Why are we where we are? But the question remains, and must be answered, that if you go back to the first term and look at the significant progress that we made, and also the presence of the vice president at the plenary, anytime the budget was being read, attest to the fact that he was part of the first term budget and decision making. But the second term, he's been conspicuously absent, meaning that they are not involved in, or there were major disagreements, so they decided to cut him off. Yeah. Nobody knows, but clearly that is a picture out there. And I'm of the firm belief that we have, based on that, Ghanaians must tell or reward what about me by saying that we understand your issues, though you are the vice president, but we understand your issues. We understand the difficulties you had with the former finance minister, but we believe that if you are given the nod to become the vice president, or to become the president, and take full charge of the economy, Ghanaians will begin to see the kind of the things that you were saying or promising pre-2016. So I think that's what I can say.
As you said, I mean, that means clearly that even though the vice president was hailed as an economic messiah, some of the conduct of Ken did inhibit him. But there's a new finance minister. So would you then say that there's close collaboration between the two, of course, which is leading to certain improvements in the economy? Of
course. Now you can see there's a rebound. I mean, all that creating agencies, Moody, the name, I think Moody was the last one that I saw. They've upgraded Ghana from stable to positive, right? The external debt negotiation too has been going on well. Yeah. So you see, that was the point we were trying to make to the president. That once there's a change of face, and once there's a new face, and people felt that, look, let's give this guy a chance, that could have a domino effect on the economy. But hey, at the time they didn't see. But look at, Amin came in 2024 February.
Yeah, February.
Yes, and we can all tell that the news that we are all receiving is good news for the MPP going into the election, because one, like I always say, elections in this country are determined by two key things, and the economy is one of them. You know, when President Ofori said in 2000, he was sitting the two about what is wasitrim? Meaning the economy.
Yeah.
Right? If your city is stable, if prices are well controlled, low inflation, low interest rate, and things like that. People that will engender enthusiasm for the business community to come in and, you know, open up businesses and employ people and what have you. So I think that's what
things have been moving well.
Yes, you can clearly see that there's synergy.
Yeah.
You can clearly see that there's the collaboration and the cooperation has gone up
a notch higher.
And definitely there's a breath of fresh air, you know, around the finance, around the finance team,
and the economic management team.
And you can see that it's impacting, you know, albeit late, but it's impacting on the economy.
Yeah. Honorable Eugene Boakye is making the point that if the president had listened to them and made the changes earlier, perhaps the economy would do much better. He insists that there's much synergy between the new finance minister, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. So Honorable Eugene Boakye has been detailing some of the inside details that we have not really been abreast of in particular. I mean, given what you've spoken about, how bad did this relationship break down between the vice president and the finance minister? Clearly the finance minister refusing to listen to the economic management team, the head. How bad did that affect the economy? And things are beginning to shape up now. Clearly there's great synergy between the vice president and the new finance minister.
I think you just have to look at the disposition of the finance minister. He has nothing but arrant disrespect for everybody. He hardly sits in cabinet. He hardly sits here. Even when it's come to present his own budget, for him to sit.
Ken Ofori-Atta was not sitting in cabinet. When the decisions were being taken, where was he?
He hardly sits, as you try to choose my words carefully. Yeah. He hardly sits. Yes. And even, you can look at Parliament, the way he treats Parliament.
Yeah.
Because you present your budget according to the standing orders, you must sit through all the discussions.
Yeah.
But he only comes to read the budget to us.
Then he leaves. The deputies take over.
You don't get to see him till maybe at the appropriation stage. And the work of the finance minister for the last 8 years, to any well-meaning Ghanaian or keen observer of parliamentary politics, who attest to the fact that has been done by Honorable Abena Osei MP for Tiwa.
And now Minister of State.
Tiwa East and now Minister of State of the Finance Ministry. So clearly you can tell that he treats everybody with utter disrespect and contempt. From his cabinet colleagues, the MPP members of Parliament, whose toil made him a finance minister.
I mean,
the way he even treats Parliament. How many times has the Speaker sat in the chair and asked for Ken Ofori-Atta to be invited to come in and sit in? How many times has our opponents, the NDC, the minority side, said to the country that if he doesn't show, we're not going to approve the budget? You've heard that chorus time and time again. So I don't know why sometimes you media guys, the right questions that you must ask, or the people that you must channel these questions to, you don't when you get to see them.
Yeah. I mean,
I think the impression he gave to the country was that, apart from him, nobody within the MPP could handle the finance ministry. That's the perception he gave.
But some will say that the president endorsed that.
Well, he's the president's cousin. What do you expect? He's the president's cousin. Do you expect the president to say his cousin was a non-performing minister, even if he knew that he was a non-performing minister?
Are there certain decisions and policies that Ken Ofori-Atta took that you know of without consulting the vice president as head of economic management team to get a synergy together?
I think the electronic tax levy was one of them. Clearly, why would the vice president sit in a meeting to agree to a policy like the electronic tax levy, popularly known as the e-levy, and then turn around a few years down the line and say, look, you know what? If I become president of this country, I'll reverse that because it's an obnoxious tax.
And then, in fact, prior to that,
let me tell you something. Let me tell you
It
something.
was against that.
One, the introduction of that obnoxious tax did intolerable damage to our electoral fortunes in 2021. And that is why the vice president has said categorically that he's going to reverse it. Because how do you tax a poor man standing by the roadside selling snails, whose probably disposable income at the end of the month will be less than 1,000 cedis?
So I get the sense that some of you are opposed to that, but you wanted to give him the chance. You wanted to give him what he wanted because your side fought for it. You wanted to give him something. If he believed that that is what would change the fortunes of the economy, you give him that. And if he didn't, that is why you called for his head.
And that was a very sad day for our democracy and for our country. The reason why I say so is that after fighting tooth and nail in the chamber to get the e-levy passed, you know, some of our colleagues even got injured in the process, these fisticuffs and what have you. When the president failed to relieve Ken Ofori-Atta of his position, I think at that stage, every well-meaning Ghanaian concluded that the president was a very unreasonable person. Because your own parliamentarians are saying to you, the people who went and campaigned in the nook and crannies of this country for you to become president, are saying to Mr. President, with all due respect, this particular person continue stay at the finance ministry will not inure to our electoral fortune in 2024. So do something about it. And you took a certain posture and kept him there for another year and more. Well, the press conference was November 2022. Ken Ofori-Atta left the Ministry of Finance in February 2024. What is he sitting there doing? So clearly, you could see that the president didn't want to, leave him.
I mean, clearly things are beginning to turn for the positive now. Inflation is on a downward spiral. It's just around 20% from Ken Ofori-Atta's time when it's about 54% and all that. So there's clearly a synergy between the minister and the vice president. If the vice president is elected president, you are sure that things will even get better and things will improve much better if the vice president comes with his own ideas and with his own team?
No, it's not the ideas. The party is elected on the manifesto.
Yeah.
That's the vision of the leader. So once you're elected on the manifesto, nobody is saying 100% go and complete all the promises in the manifesto. But at least you try and achieve about 50, 65, right? And you know what saddens me? I got up at dawn a few weeks ago and I grabbed a copy of our 2016 manifesto. And I said to myself, why are we struggling to win this election? Because if you had gone with 2016 manifesto, this party would have won power back to back for 16 continuous years. Clearly because of our policies and the interventions that we had in there, right? Especially like the $1 million equivalent for every constituency. And those
one village, one dam, one district, one factory.
Those were game changers.
Okay.
Right? It never happened in our country, right? Giving a member of parliament $1 million equivalent in cedis
to develop the constituency.
And develop their own constituency. Choose the needy projects and develop them. And what happened after the first term? We dropped it. Why? Because the economy was in comatose. And we were in self-denial. Yeah. Ken Ofori-Atta was in self-denial. And that led to where we are today. Because in 2020, when COVID struck, that was a perfect opportunity for Ken to have said to Mr. President, you know what? I think I'm tired. Let's try a fresh face or a fresh hand. And that would probably have sent a very positive signal to our donor partners. Yeah. But that didn't happen. So sometimes there's this 250 million coming through for your energy sector. The money will be hitting your account in September. In the next minute, the money arrives in January. So clearly, there was a lack of trust. Yeah. Trust had broken down. The both felt that, look, with this guy still there, we cannot trust him to move this economy. And these are some of the positives that we are saying. Now you can see clearly that the EMT is meeting. Yeah. All the various stakeholders are participating, and their inputs right, have a rebound on the economy, and MPP can now go into this election clearly saying, look, you know what, you just turned the corner. When Ken Ofori-Atta was saying the country
has been turned, it hasn't.
I think it was in his own world that he was living in. I don't know whichever world he was living in at the time. But clearly you can see the economy has turned the corner now because of the indices that are coming up.
In fact, recently Fitch and Moody's and others, they have upgraded Ghana's status. I mean, with the benefit of
if all this can be done between February and now, then if
it was done between
if a new minister had replaced him, say in January 2023, right? MPP would be singing,
singing hallelujah. I mean, you know the president very well. With the benefit of hindsight, do you think he regrets not having taken off Ken Ofori-Atta a longer period than he did in February 2024, given what you now describe as the cohesion that exists within government now at cabinet and also at the party level? Do you suspect that the president might be regretting not having changed his cousin, the finance minister?
No doubt. I mean, you know the president. I've told you that he failed to act at the time, and a lot of Ghanaians, a lot of well-meaning Ghanaians felt that the president was very unreasonable. That's clear for everyone that he was unreasonable. Because you're a Democrat, you are working people from your own party, not the NDs who are telling that, look, Mr. President is the problem. If the president, I don't know whether it's pride or ego, but if the president had called us and said, look, what is it that you guys have with Ken Ofori-Atta, would have probably have sat him down and enumerated the kind of deals or initiatives or policies that he had collapsed or undermined as a finance minister. Ghana would have been a different place today. You understand? But because he failed to do that, he sent a wrong signal. Right? Because you see, politics is Jojo. It's about talking. It's about getting to see what the other person is saying, or what the other person is thinking. If you fail to meet and come to a point of convergence, then you get, everybody moving in other directions. And that is what was happening under Ken Ofori-Atta's tenure at the finance ministry. Once he was moved, there's like a breath of fresh air. Now, the foreign partners or donor partners are looking favorably at us. Our domestic debt exchange program too has gone down. Yeah, it's a pain for somebody to lose money. But at least if an explanation comes, or if Ghanaians feel that, look, at least his MP spoke, he listened to them, Ken is no more. Now we can see that the Baumia that we touted as the economic whiz-kid or messiah or guru or name it, is now in charge of economic policy formulation and in charge of putting the budget together and what have you with the economic management team. I'm sure that the last 2 years, Ghana would have seen a difference. But everybody could tell that Bamia had been cut off. Yeah.
So I mean that brings me to this question.
Yes, the president, I believe, deeply regrets that he made his cousin stay at that ministry for that length of time.
I mean, so the point you are emphasizing is that the vice president's qualities, particularly in the second term, could not come out simply because he was not being given the room to operate by the likes of Ken Ofori-Atta, who are leading the fiscal and economic policies of the executive. Is that a point that you are making?
Yes, that's the point I'm making. Also, I'm reliably informed that when he got to a stage where even when the vice president was looking for Ken Ofori-Atta, he had to go physically to the finance minister to look for him.
No, you are not serious.
Yes,
that's the vice president.
I'm reliably informed. So it shows you the dictatorial tendencies in Ken Ofori-Atta and how he managed the finance ministry. So you see, if people want us to come out and say the things that we know, we are some members of this party now, right? We're being part of the executive. And I can assure you that a lot of Ghanaians at the time couldn't wait to see the back of Ken Ofori-Atta. It's only the president and a few people around his circle that wanted Ken Ofori-Atta to remain. And the reason why they wanted Ken Ofori-Atta to still continue as a finance minister is best left with them.
You said that the vice president had to descend from Jubilee House or from wherever and go to the Ken Ofori-Atta. I am
reliably informed that when it got to a stage where when the vice president wanted to see him, because I'm sure he was playing hide and seek with them. So when he wanted to see him, he had to go all the way to the finance ministry and knock on doors for him to see Ken Ofori-Atta. I'm reliably informed.
Okay, then that suggests, and in fact, people have pointed out that Ken Ofori-Atta did not treat his cabinet colleagues with respect. And in fact, it has been referenced in other interviews that he disrespected some of them.
I've told you. He's always in white. He's the first finance minister that has more Bible quotations to his name than even pastors in this country. But that's his nature. He's always in white. Soft-spoken. But that's the Ken Ofori-Atta at play.
Right, yeah. I mean, interesting views really that have come up.
So
really
let me also
details.
say something, to
yeah, definitely.
wrap
We are not there yet. I'll come to that. Because of this raging controversy, I'll come back for you to give us your closing remarks. The Speaker of Parliament has declared 4 seats vacant. 3 of them your colleagues, which has made you a minority MP as you speak here.
I'm not too sure about that till the Supreme Court speaks.
You still insist you're a majority?
I am. I came in and I was sworn in as a member of the majority caucus. Until the Supreme Court so determines, I'm still a member of Parliament on the majority side.
Do you think that your party has lost the plot in terms of being able to bring you all together? Because some of these, your colleagues, Cynthia Morrison, these are very affable, amiable, reasonable people. Kojo Asante.
This question,
how can the party deal with these issues?
Let me help you. When you openly discuss these matters, they talk about bitterness and what have you. But can we continue in this vein as a political party? Where I'm sure that the national chairman or any person from the National Executive Committee has even placed a call to Cynthia Morrison.
She said in an interview to us that no one has called her.
They only did so when she decided that she was going to run as an independent candidate. Right? What about our younger friend from
Kojo
Asante from Suhum? So you can clearly say that MPP is in a state of paralysis.
There's a political scientist that has said that if almost all of your other colleagues who didn't win their primaries decided because of the bitterness and how the party had treated them, a lot more of you will probably be running as independent. But some of you have decided that maybe because of the bigger interest of the party and all that.
You see, what I would say is that by running as an independent, you give those people the pleasure. Yeah. The party doesn't belong to them. Yeah. How can I sit here? My father went to detention in 1964 because of this tradition. Why should I leave this party because of somebody? And why should I be bitter? I've served a 2-term as a member of parliament. I served as a deputy minister out of 33 million Ghanaians. Why should I be bitter? Ghanaians are just something else. They don't want to hear the truth. That's the problem with Ghana. When somebody is messing your economy, when somebody is driving your state into a failed state, you sit back and say somebody is bitter. Why am I bitter? Yeah. Today, I can grab my passport and go back to the United Kingdom to live. Yes. Why should I be bitter? But I want to see a developed Ghana. And nobody can drive me out of this party, because this party is the very vehicle that has given everybody, or made us all of us who we are. Oh, yeah. And I told you, we broke from the shackles. That's something people were, the intimidation, right? And the bullying. Right? We took it elsewhere. Nobody can bully us. But let me tell you something before we wrap up. Yes. A clear apology to all well-meaning Ghanaians and MPP supporters, members, sympathizers, and what have you. That it's a blip. Yes, you've learned, or all of us have learned about the disappointments and the inability or the state of paralysis that the party finds itself, because the party cannot move without taking a decision from somewhere else. But we will rebuild our party. We are just hoping and praying that we win the December elections and we'll build our party from there. Those people will be history. This tradition will be better off without the likes of Ken Ofori-Atta and Gabi Asarochi back home.
Thank you very much for granting us this exclusive where a lot of issues have come up, particularly within the New Patriotic Party. How Ken Ofori-Atta did not listen to some of the advice that were offered by the Vice President, touted as the economic messiah to lead Ghana. And now things are getting better. We all admit the inflation has been on a downward spiral. Mr. Eugene Boachi's entry here tells us that it's because of the synergy that exists between Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And going into the 2024 election, if the Ghanaian people give the MPP the opportunity to lead, then things will even get much better. Thank you very much for watching. As always, this is Joy News, your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. We'll bring you such stimulating interviews.